When I was in the construction day to day operations in the ground, I just wanted to make it through the day, dude. I wasn't worried
Yeah.
about health. I was worried about, am I going to make it through the day? I'm rich now. What? That's a different story. And that's what we got to talk about, evolving. I'm rich.
Now
Now
what?
what? What's up, Tim?
Hey man, good to be here.
Thank God I'm here, man. I didn't even know what day it is. I just got back from the Arnold Classic. That was wild.
Dude, I saw some pictures. That look good.
Yeah, it's if you've ever felt like you work out and you go there, you realize you haven't really worked out. However, I don't think it's all natural though. So it is what it is. I'm not judging it, but it's pretty amazing, man. It's super awesome to watch people, excel at what they do. The gym. These guys don't work out until 10 a.m. You know what I mean? It's kind of interesting to me because I'm opposite. I'm like early morning. So they definitely have drastically different structures. Another thing, Tim, was kind of funny is just watching all the influencers. They were everywhere. Ashton Hall was at the gym we were working out. Indio Champ, I don't know if you know him. He's the guy that like walks around and kicks food out of the people's hands and say, "Get to work. What are you doing?" He's super funny, over the top. Kong, that was pretty cool to see him there. A lot of neat people, man. Got to meet a lot of neat people, and but it's work, man. As you're building businesses and brands, you know how it is. We got to show up and shake hands and kiss babies and do what we do.
I love it, man. No, it's good. Did you see any commonalities amongst those highest achievers in that personal fitness space that like we could then implement into the business side of things?
Well, it's like anything in business, and they're obsessed, right? They're absolutely obsessed. They spend all their time counting calories in their brain, formulating the perfect workout, repositioning their workouts. Because right, once they get their backed out in, now they want to do their legs or their belly, their abs or their arms or tries or buys, front, back, like all these different things. So it's like anything, dude. You get out of it what you put into it, and they're absolutely obsessed with it.
hmm Yeah. Do you find that they've sacrificed, right? Like us as business guys, man, you see it over and over and over again where business people sacrifice health, business people sacrifice relationships, they sacrifice family, they sacrifice friendships, they sacrifice the fun stuff. Do you see that the fitness experts being so obsessed and so focused on the fitness sacrifice those other elements of their life?
Yeah, I think there's two sides of that. I think there's a dedication side and a sacrifice side, right? Like, because there's a sacrifice too when you're overweight, you can't move and all that, right? You're sacrificing
Yeah.
quality of life over comfort today. So I think there's a medium in there somewhere. But yeah, dude, I think when you're hyper focused and massively obsessed about an outcome, things that the average person is looking around and saying, "How is that even a thing to you?" is probably a good thing because the world's not doing that sometimes. They're just comfort, like Sunday days, they watch football all day, drink beer, eat pizza, and blah, blah, blah. They're not doing that. These guys and gals are massively focused. And dude, just like in business, like we are and everyone else we know. I think though there is a point in the journey where you got to realize, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not going to be Mr. Olympia ever again, right? He had
hmm
his time. He was able to do that. He turned it into an entrepreneurial thing. The Arnold Classic, dude, I don't know how many tens of millions of dollars he makes net at that event, but it's a lot. It's packed. Hundreds of thousands of people at the Expo Center. I mean, Tim, there's people that LA, I don't even know the brand, but their booth had to cost $2 or $3 million alone just for the booth to put in there.
Really?
Yeah, so like they're massively branding, they're investing lots and lots of money on talent and brand and extraction. I mean, dude, it was so big it got shut down by the fire marshal. That booth did. The booth inside the expo. They had so many
No
people in there.
way.
So it's yeah, dude, I think anything amazing that you create, I don't know anybody's created something that's never been obsessed.
hmm
You know?
I saw an interesting quote. I'm gonna have to paraphrase it, but it goes back to the brand, right? Like how many fitness influencers are on social media? Like how many different ways can you exercise your legs? How many different ways can you exercise your arms? How many different ways can you tell somebody eat more fruits and vegetables? Like it's all the same shit. How do you differentiate yourself when everything is the same, right? When everything is just so saturated and every market is so saturated. And the answer was obsessing over the brand, obsessing over your brand and making it so different than what anybody else is talking about, than what anybody else's brand is, and making it so elevated is the differentiator, right? In a saturated market, which every industry is saturated, focusing on the brand and obsessing on that piece is the differentiator to making yourself stand out.
Hmm. Well, we live in a world of people has to pick a side, right? So look at like Apple versus whatever the
Google.
other computers
Yeah.
are. See, I don't even know the names. Microsoft, right? Nike versus Adidas, or whatever. People, when you have brand loyalty, I don't think people put enough weight on brand awareness and understanding that. But that's a different mindset in the game of entrepreneurship. It's not just make money, but that's really building a deep understanding of brand ambassadors, people that would
Hmm.
die for your brand and stick up for your brand when you're not around. Um, that's not to say brands won't have hiccups and mishaps, because they all do. But what do you do when you have them? Do you own it? Do you admit it? Do you acknowledge it? Do you hide from it? Like, what do you do? And then how do you deepen the brand? How do you drive people to want, how do they have a voice inside of the brand? Always for me too, Tim, even like the DM brand or your brand legacy, it means something. It's not Mark Evans DM, it's DM. It means something. It stands for something. You're the deal maker, dream maker of your life, to your parents, to your friends, to your everyone you care about and love about. Like, I always looked at that as like, if you have that, it exists, and it's like a calling to other people that see it and understand it. Like, you can connect instantly with a brand.
Hmm.
Like, obviously if you walk in and there's 10 people in a room and five of them have Nike and five of them have Adidas, well, you're probably going to, and you're a Nike person, you're probably going to lean to the Nike individuals initially. And I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but like, it's just kind of like, oh, they're kind of like me. You know what I mean? So I do think building a massive brand is huge, but we also do know none of this shit's new. It's all the same stuff. Eat fruits, work out, vegetables, and eat healthier foods. Stop eating processed stuff. It's saying the same stuff over and over and over, old things to new people, right?
Hmm.
And then some people are in different parts of the journey. We all have our parents or our cousins or our uncles or someone we care about that told us exactly what that influencer might tell you, but it's not what they told you, it's when they told you at the time. It's a timing thing, right? They heard
Hmm.
it different, they felt it different, they acknowledge it. Like, how can one person go to 10 different trainers, and by the 10th trainer they finally hear it and they finally do something about it? Well, something in their life probably changed. They probably got devastating news like, you're going to die if you don't lose weight, or you're going to die if you don't fix X, or, oh, by the way, you're 50 now, not 32 when you started working out. You probably need mobility more than you need just strength only, pure strength. So I think it depends on the shifts and where you're at too, right? Longevity, by far, Tim, was the number one thing talked about at Arnold Expo. By longevity. Obviously, everyone there's strong as hell, all that stuff's going on, but it's like, dude, you can barely bend down to tie your shoes. You can
Hmm.
barely move because your back is so jacked up. So stretching was big. Longevity, just talking about better insides, understanding your biomarkers, blood, i.e., through your blood net, markers and such. So all these things were massively important. Dude, it's neat to see, man. I'm glad people are actually care about their life now. It's pretty cool.
No, it's been big, man. Like, I mean, the whole shift that's happened towards health over the past few years, right? Everybody was focused on making as much money as they possibly could. At least in my world, not in our realm, it was all make a bunch of money in the late teens up until like right in that 2020, 2021. And I feel
Right.
like it's been a big pivot. A lot of people neglected their health over the course of those handful of years, and they've really been focused on dialing that back in. And it's dude, the whole health industry is wild though, man. Like looking at it, how we grew up with a food pyramid and do this and don't do that. Dude, I even saw somebody post something like we drink too much water, right? Like everybody's like, you should drink as much water as possible. And now somebody's like, no, don't drink water. It's just like, what do you believe? What do you trust? Who can you have confidence in following? Because the information changes so much, and you don't know if it's just clickbait and people trying to get you to actually, watch some more of their stuff, or if it's like real insights into better health and new information.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, we're talking a lot about health here, which is cool. I mean, obviously, it's not the only goal here today, but, I'm rich now. What? It's like, now what? We got to take care of our body. However,
Hmm.
you could look at Warren Buffett, and this guy's eating McDonald's and drinking Diet Coke every day. I think Trump's doing the same thing over there, right? So it's kind of interesting that that generation and they're living way beyond the average age of the American, human being. But they're still grinding, they're still doing it. I really think it comes down to, like the drinking water thing. As you know, man, drink water is not the same as it is today as it was when we were kids. There's so much junk in water, right? You and I have purifiers on our stuff, whatever, and all that. But then you got bottled water. Well, guess what? Bottled water is in plastic typically. Now you got microplastic situations going on. So if they're saying that, I have no clue about that thing, but you're probably just drinking a lot of plastic. Me drinking a bottle of water today, and you're
Hmm.
drinking out of glass over there. So Tim's done a good job today. I'm not. So Tim's going to live longer than me. That's kind of what it comes down to, right? But
We'll see.
yeah. Well, hey, dude, here's the thing is, well, you'll do it right, and then we get hit by a truck together. So,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
who
And then the plane
knows?
goes down, man. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. So none of these things happen. But I do know, um, dude, things have changed. Look at the male hormone therapy, like testosterone levels. I mean, and what's in the food is absolutely, if you eat semi-healthy, you're probably going to have a higher testosterone than if you're eating constantly processed foods because there's
Yep.
so many suppressors in that kind of food that's literally crushing. I mean, dude, you see 20 something year old kids with very low testosterone, which is not normal.
Yep.
Maybe in your late 30s, mid to late 30s and beyond, like why? What's changed? Well, the only thing that's changed is the food that people are eating and consuming from drinking and eating and all these stuff. So it's very interesting. And I do think everyone is unique. Everyone has a unique situation going on with their bodies. Some people look healthy on the outside, but are terribly unhealthy on the inside, right? So that's why all this stuff should start with blood work, high level. I'm not talking going to your general doctor and getting a basic blood panel because the truth is, some don't like to hear this, but it's the truth. Most general practitioners have no clue about what we're talking about. I know this to be true through our business that we have. Like they're clueless with it, and it's not a knock to them. It's just a reality. So going to a specialty, a person or a company that can help you understand what blood you need to get. You should be pulling 80 to 120 panels of things that like different markers, I should say, not panels, but different markers to understand what's really going on. Your blood is like your blueprint, yours, not mine, not the guy next door, your blood work. And the last thing you want to hear your general doctor tell you is like, well, you're in the average
Yeah.
range.
Yeah.
Because like we talked about before, like when you walk out or walk in or walk out of the doctor's office, basic doctor's office, you look around, most people we talk to, Tim, are not average. They're above average, if not way beyond. And the last thing you want to do is be categorized with the average person, because you want outsized, amazing results. You can't be amazing with average like things. So, I think, dude, people are dialing this in. I'm excited for people. I think it's really going to change a lot of people's lives when they take control of their health and all that. The interesting thing, too, they'll actually generate more money from what I've seen.
Hmm.
They're healthier, they're more conscious, they're clear thinking. They stop drinking as much, if not completely stop drinking. They stop doing the other curriculum activities that go on with drinking and all these other things. So it's an interesting time to be alive, man. There's a lot of different studies about proper tobacco use. You know what I mean? They're saying nicotine can be good in certain
Dude, it's
doses,
all
certain
over right
levels,
now. It's all over the news, right? Like
all over,
micro
man.
doses of nicotine is like really good for you. I've seen this.
Yeah. So, but again, it depends on, sometimes you got to pay attention. It's like, as long as it's not like nicotine.com saying these stats,
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to make sure
Yeah.
they're
Who's
third
saying it?
party. But I think everyone should be testing things all the time on themselves to see how their body even regulates it or likes it. Like, and it doesn't take a day. It like oftentimes takes several months for your body to really understand what's going on. It could be an NAD tab. It could be some shot, like whatever it is. Getting on board with that stuff definitely is where I believe a large portion of the opportunities going, man.
Where would where's the most like there's so little trust and confidence in the news and in reports and in even government agencies that police this kind of stuff. Where have you found you can get reliable information on the health side of things?
Well, listen, I think social media is obviously a huge place, but you got to go to a reliable social media person, someone that's not being paid to say certain things. Also, this may sound absolutely crazy, but going to a high-end gym where people are taking care of themselves at a very high level, investing a high amount of money in themselves, either through peptides or supplements or all of the above, and just talking to them directly. They are more than glad to share with you openly. It's not like taboo anymore, Tim. It's like females are talking about what they're taking and not taking. Men are doing like it's an open book at this point. It's not weird. It's actually they want to tell you. They want to talk about what's working. If you have a tear in your shoulder, how they're what they're using or not using, how their gut health is like really messed up. Dude, a lot of people have gut health issues and don't even know it, right? And how to more importantly, how to fix it. So I think you got to find, a company or an individual of people that are not paid to say certain things and getting paid
Hmm.
to mislead or misguide someone,
Yeah,
if it
they're
works.
they're on the same path as you, right? Just kind of moving parallel. They're sifting through information, sifting through insights, sifting through knowledge, learning new things as they talk to different healthcare professionals.
Mhm.
Um, what's funny though is and Kate and I are part of like a community like that, and it's a lot of people who spend a lot of money on health and wellness and nutrition and all the organic stuff and all the whole foods and all that kind of jazz. But dude, I was listening to a podcast and it was all about the health side of things. And the dude on there is like, hey, back in the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, the wealthiest people would spend all this money in going out and trying to find uh, better ways to live longer, right? Like the fountain of youth, if you will, in natural ways to do that. And they'd go to these quack doctors, and the quack doctors would prescribe them a bunch of like crazy stuff that nobody else could afford. And the richest people started dying faster, and they lived less, right? And the poor people who were growing their own food and milking their own cows and like doing all those activities and doing manual labor and moving their bodies and had community and all those things actually lived longer than the people who had money who were spending it on health and nutrition and wellness back in the day. So like I get thrown off on all these uh, insights and all these thoughts, and oh hey, this is what all the wealthy people are doing. Um, I don't. Does that mean we should do that? Does that mean we should pursue those health opportunities?
Yeah, listen, I don't know the answer. I do know it's you should not take one doctor's opinion as the only opinion. You should
Hmm.
constantly be researching. You know, Obviously cancer is massively up. Everyone has different values and core beliefs on different things. So I think you got to get with alignment people and figure out what works and what doesn't. There's also another side of health about quality of life, right? For instance, I have people in my family, they just don't have a good quality of life. They're constantly sick, they're always sick, and they just don't have quality, and they're semi young. You know what I mean? Like in the 60s, and they act like, they're living like they're 90s, almost dead. And that's
Hmm.
been going on not for a week or a year, but multiple years. So they're not trying alternatives. They're just constantly fueling with more drugs, more drugs, more drugs, more pills, more pills. Like those are not the solutions to the outcome we're talking about. I think, I'd rather live to 70, a healthy 70 than a miserable 90. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
there's lots of sides of this thing, but there is a cause and effect to everything. But I definitely think more now than ever, information is readily available. People are more willing to openly share. And like you said, like I think you should be paying attention to the friend groups and what they're saying, what they're not saying, bringing high level experts in that are not motivated by financial outcomes only. They're definitely there to because what I've seen is I know this guy. His name's Lance. He literally knows more than any doctor I've ever met in my entire life, and he's not a doctor. He has literally just been a patient of his own for many, 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 many years, and he's not even financially trying to make money off of the information. He just genuinely knows it's changed his life and many people around him his life. So he's been an avid trainer, I guess, a person learning about this stuff for the last 25 years. And when I put him on the phone with our doctors or people we work with, they're like, how the hell did you meet this guy? Right? Because him and I would never hang out at the same places ever. But
Hmm.
again, through relationship capital, I met him through a buddy, and they said, hey, you should talk. And we had a conversation. I was talking about some stuff, people in my family that have issues, and kind of how we could solve them, or what it would look like, or what he would prescribe or do, or whatever. And again, he's not a doctor, so it's not what he would prescribe, but like what information he would tell him to look at, and just gain an information knowledge base that most people don't even know exists.
Hmm. Yeah, man. I think when this episode, we came here with different intents of things that we were going to talk about, but I love this angle because once you make money and you have money, like what, and you can afford the cars and you can afford the vacations and you can afford the trips and you can afford sending your kids to whatever school and you can afford all those things. Like what else do you go spend your money on? And
Yeah.
there's a big pivot to spending it on health, on spending it
Yeah.
on wellness, and ensuring that you have this longevity, not just of quantity of life, but also of quality of life, right? And have you watched the Netflix documentary Blue Zones?
Yeah, I have. Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, pretty good, man. Um,
But
and
again, they
and
say a
and
lot of that shit's a lie. I don't know if you know that or not. They say a lot of that stuff's lies,
in
right?
what
They're
way?
grabbing people off the streets, making, because some of those countries don't even have documented ages. They're lying about their age, is
Oh,
what they're
really?
saying. So they're like, oh, I'm 106. They're like, dude, this guy's 75 years old. What are you talking about? But again, it's like who's proving? That's about the extent that I know. But I saw some people really like, show me the document of this person's age. They can't produce it. They don't have it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
It's dude, it's so weird, man, that you can't trust any information, right? So it's like, so how do you make decisions? So how do you make decisions on what to pursue with health? I think it's mostly common sense. I think we know the things that are not treated with pesticides are probably better than things that are treated with pesticides, right? The the milk and the organic stuff, right, is probably better than the stuff that's treated with a bunch of hormones and whatever else. The moving your body is probably better than not moving your body, right? Like
Exactly.
there's simple things, breathing clean air versus breathing dirty air. Like there's all these simple things. If you want to lose weight, you easily burn more calories than you consume, right? There's a lot of simple principles that you could just follow. And we all kind of know those things. It's just what gives us the motivation and the kind of the kick in the ass in order to then pursue that.
Well, I mean, listen, I think if you're a dad listening to this, and depending if you have a daughter or not, like one of my biggest drivers is being massively healthy and alive to walk my daughter down the aisle, right? To be there for
Hmm.
those experiences. Same thing with my son, to be there when they deliver their first baby, if they ever have kids, who knows? But like, I want to be around for those moments, not just be around. I want to be able to play with them and run around and play baseball and football and whatever. Just have fun. And I think if you don't take care of your body, you're going to pay for it in the future. It's just facts. So you got to stay moving. You got to stay on top of the game. And like you said, we've sacrificed a lot to get to this point. In the 15 years or so, like I was just into the game. Just eat what you can and hope just keep
Hmm.
going. We're good at abusing our bodies, dude. Like you see these, we've been young and dumb and you're pounding lots of alcohol, wake up in the morning, puke and rally and do all these things and keep going and just grind it out and figure it out and take some aspirin or Advil and keep going. But like eventually there's a time clock on that lifestyle. So, getting around healthy people too, man, it definitely will help you out a lot because I know, Tim, you guys have done that as well. Just surround
That's
yourself, changing your friend group of, if picture this, if you're hanging out with guys and they're staying up till midnight, going to the casino, doing all these things, well, you're probably going to fall in line with that a little bit. And once in a while, veer off. Or if you're hanging out with guys and they're in bed by 9 o'clock and they're up by 4, hitting the gym, and you're getting up early, going to the gym, your habits are going to have a better outcome, I promise.
hmm
So you got to find these individuals and know where you're at in the journey. Some people listening right now have a lot of money and they're kind of lost. Pick, guys like us, we need to have a purpose. We need to have a mission to wake up to. Let's get in, if you're at 25% body fat, how do you get down to 10? First off, we got to get down to 20, 15, etc. But like, you got to have something big to go after. It's kind of what drives individuals like us listening to a show like this, is that's how we got money. We had a big goal,
hmm
big dream, and we figured out something. We worked really hard to accomplish it. Well, we need to do that with health. We need to do that with experiences. We need to do that with our life, not just business and making money.
Dude, I love the just it all comes back to who is your peer group, right? Who are you hanging out with? You hang out with people who eat French fries, you're gonna eat some more French fries. You hang out with people who eat salads, you're gonna eat some more salads. You hang out with people who don't sit on a Zoom and hop on a phone call and grab coffee sitting down, but instead you go take a walk. Like my buddies around here, if we're like, hey, let's go and hang out. We're gonna go walk the bridge. We're gonna go walk around, walk the beach, and like get some movement in as we meet. We don't just sit for coffee.
Yeah.
Even if we're gonna sit there and talk shop, right? It's like what are the activities and the movements, and because of that, we get more steps in. Because of that, we're healthier. Because of that, we get some more sunshine, more vitamin D, and more all those good things because of the peer group that you're surrounding yourself with. Whoever's in your peer group will influence all the other decisions that you make. And if you can find a peer group for money, and you can find a peer group for health, you can find a peer group for spirituality and religious purposes, and you find a peer group for relationships and being a better dad, being a better spouse, and being a better friend. Dude, those are all peer groups that you need to be intentional with finding or creating, right? Like I had some conversations last week when we were at our mastermind, and somebody's like, "Well, I can't find a group locally, right? I love having the national group. I love getting together on a quarterly basis. I love doing that, but it's like I don't have a local group." I was like, "Go and create one." That's what I did, right? I went to Cleveland, Ohio, never done business in Cleveland before. I grew up there, but did business elsewhere. And I created a meetup specifically for business owners, right? To talk about business on a regular basis. Brought in experts, let them bring the value. You could do the same thing with health. You could do the same thing with relationships. Just bring in other people to come and provide the value. Read a book on it, listen to a podcast on it, get together and talk about it. And just by creating the group, you're going to then attract people who have the same likes and commonalities and ambitions as you, regardless of which
I mean,
pillar of
Tim,
life we're talking about.
absolutely, dude, we're doing it right now with the show. I'm rich, now what? Do you think we're attracting I'm poor, now what? You know what I
I'm
mean?
poor. What do I do?
Yeah, I'm poor. What do I do? Right. Just so you guys know, the people that don't have much money need all the answers, all
Mm-hmm.
of them. Right. And they're going to bash you when you don't give them every single step and every single answer. Oh, by the way, we forgot it takes work too. Right. If you listen to a show like this, you know it takes hard work. There is no shortcuts, there are no secrets. The secret is doing the work. That is the secret. So when you get to this level, we're talking and thinking about different things. I can't talk to those individuals not like that at a highest level because I don't get them anymore. I was that individual back in the day, but I always had a different mindset where I had to build and grow and I had to do the work and I wasn't afraid to failing and all that. If you're rich, now what? Well, you failed a lot. You're probably still failing. You know it's not the end of the world, it's part of the process. You generate now you have all this cash coming in from multiple places. Either you're exited or you have cash flow businesses or you have other investments or all of the above's working for you right now. And all these things are going on. That's where we're at in this journey. And guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Now we need health, better health. Why wouldn't we want all the above? So it's really hard if you don't have. And by the way, everyone should be trying to get healthy. I don't care if you have a little bit of money or a lot of money. It's probably something that should be in the forefront of everyone's life. But unfortunately, it's not how it works. Like where I grew up, they're just trying to survive. And they're not,
Mm-hmm.
they have zero thought about, I'm at Taco Bell just pounding food, right? Like I just got to get through the day. It's cheap, it's easy, it's cheap, it's easy. Get back to work, cheap, easy. Like, and they do this and they get stuck in these cycles. We've all been there. So I'm not judging it. It's just I do think when we're creating this room, like you're talking about, Tim, anybody could do this for anything they want to do, good or bad. By the way, there's really weird people out there that whatever you're into, there's other people into it, and but like that's why the show exists. I'm rich now. What?
Yep. No, man. Super, super good stuff. And I think, to your point, the they prioritize maybe they think Taco Bell is cheaper, and so there's not an equal healthy option that meets the same amount of money that you can outlay on Taco Bell and get that amount of food, right? And the reality is there's a lot of different options. There's a lot of other things, better decisions you can make than eating fast food for the same amount of money that you're spending on fast food. You can go somewhere else and like even if you didn't get organic food, right? Maybe you get something that you can pull the peel off of an orange. Maybe that's less necessary to have something that's organic than something where you're eating the skin like an apple. Like there's options, and if you actually have some intention behind it, there's ways to have health, and even if you don't have a bunch of money, but definitely makes it easier if you have some money.
Well, listen, yeah, but the thing is, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're at Taco Bell, at least get the Diet Coke because then it cancels it out, right? But no, that's what some people do think, unfortunately.
Extra lettuce on the taco, yeah.
Yeah, I know people that I'm very close to, i.e., family, that eat out 3 times a day. They breakfast eating out, lunch eating out, they grab their kids and they go eat out for dinner. The problem is they're not thinking about, first of all, they spend more money probably than I do on food, right? Because if you buy in bulk and you like package your food, like today for lunch, I had 8 ounces of chicken, and a bowl of rice. That's not that expensive, dude. It's way
Hmm.
cheaper than going to Taco Bell or any of these, well, McDonald's or wherever people go to, right? So, but again, that takes you got to plan a little bit, and you got to like buy, and it might not be the best chicken. Maybe you got to buy the bag of chicken in the freezer aisle. What I don't know, but like I do know at that level, I was not thinking about that kind of stuff though. Truthfully, dude, when I was in the construction day to day operations in the ground, I just wanted to make it through the day, dude. I wasn't worried
Yeah.
about health. I was worried about, am I going to make it through the day? So, but I'm rich now. What? That's a different story, and that's what we got to talk about. Evolving. We're evolving in the game of life. I'll be 48 in June. I'm not 27 anymore. I'm more focused on wanting to live a better quality life with longevity. When you're 27, truthfully, you almost eat anything you want,
Yeah.
and get away with it. But the problem is the habits that you build. It scares me. People at 30 don't start changing. 35, 40, 45, etc. Like we have to evolve from this, and that's what this is what the whole reason the show exists is to talk about these kind of things.
Dude, I love it.
Hmm.
This went in a different direction than I think either of us thought it would go in, but I
Yeah.
think this is a very relevant conversation. Not I think, I know it is. All right. It's something that you've obsessed over the past several years, something that I've been obsessing over the past several years. And I don't just see it right with me, like my wife obsesses over it, and our kids, right, are now getting ingrained in understanding, hey, here's why we eat whole foods as opposed to processed foods, right? Here's why we lead with protein instead of leading with candy and carbs and other things. Like we have those conversations, and it's really cool to see it kind of spill over into the kids where they're looking at the back of the label and making sure that they can pronounce all the different words. And if they can't pronounce it, that means it's something processed, right? And so it's seeing the younger generation. Like I never even thought about any of that stuff until I was well into probably my 30s, right? And seeing them at 10 years old and 8 years old and having these questions and having the conversations around it of, hey, I got to lead with protein at least two of the meals before I ever have the macaroni and cheese for lunch, right? And like those are some of the rules that we have in our house. And so it's cool to see the younger generation being raised that way, right? It's the same kind of idea that we've had behind like the kids' books and things like that. Like we learned all these concepts about personal development and success and achievement and in our 20s and 30s by reading these books. Like imagine if there was a resource to do that when you're a kid. And so again, it's just leading by example, man. It's sharing this information, having the conversation, explaining with your kids why this is a healthier option as opposed to that one. It's got less sugar. Let's look at the back of it, and just educating them early on is it's really, really cool to see them kind of take ownership of what their health looks like as well.
Yeah, I mean, dude, listen, I think some of the biggest child abuse, and I'm saying this in a nice way, is taking your kids to fast food every day.
Hmm.
It's child abuse. It's absolute child abuse at all levels. My kids get McDonald's once a year, and it's not even from us; it's from their nanny. She takes them, and what's funny is my son will get the French fries, and my daughter will get an ice cream cone. That's it. Like, I want, but I have people in our family like they're getting chicken nuggets every other day, and they're getting all this other stuff and hamburgers and Big Macs. They brag about a 7-year-old eating a full Big Mac in record time and all this, and they think it's funny. And I'm like, that's not funny. That's child abuse, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, it doesn't go over well because I'm Uncle Mark, whatever. But it's the truth. Like, I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's cute in any way, shape, or form. It's like, what's in the burger? Why are you doing that to yourself? Why are you handing that to your child? Like, you can't be that ignorant to know that this is not healthy. I mean, look at you, look at them, look at the world, what's going on. I mean, that's what, Tim, I just got back from a big cruise too. I don't think we've talked since then, have we? Did I talk about since we got
No,
back from?
no, we haven't. No.
Yeah, so I got back from this cruise, a Disney cruise. It was super. The food was amazing. The views were amazing. All the stuff was cool. The biggest observation, man, is we are under attack with food, man. People are huge. Dude, I'm talking large. Like not 10 pounds overweight, like hundreds of pounds overweight. Many, many, many people. And I'm just watching this and I'm like, but your kid is up there getting 9 ice cream cones a day. You're getting
Hmm.
10 and you think it's cute and you're hanging out, but you can barely move. Like, what are you doing? Why are we doing this? You know what I mean? But the truth is, I think you know most of this, but like, like the tobacco companies own most of the food brands now, right? Because back in the day, tobacco was made them all the money. And then obviously what happened with tobacco, like cigarette companies, well, they had to shift and they had to move their money around somewhere else. So they started buying up food companies. Well, do you think they're pretty good at like addictive chemicals? You
Hmm.
know? So there is addiction going on, man, at the highest level, and people are just like eating themselves to death, man. And it's, I always think about this. I heard this once. I don't remember where I heard it, but it was like, have you ever seen a 75-pound person that's massively overweight? They don't exist, right? Because they die early. Their organs can't handle it, their body can't handle it, their knees can't, like, they end up dying. There might be a couple here and there, but the likelihood of you living to a decent age overweight is pretty much non existent. So what are you going to do about it? That's kind of what shook me up years ago. Listening to that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like a big deal. And then you start thinking
Hmm.
about the deeper stuff, your kids and walking down the aisle and all, like real mental visual anchors, things that are going to come true one day potentially that are real. Because a lot of people, they won't do it because they're going to die. They got to do it. They need something harder to scare them to actually make a move. So I do think we're in a pretty interesting time, man. I think you and I are a little different on this because I don't think I don't know much about this on your side, but like testosterone and peptides and all that stuff. Do you do any of that stuff?
No, never had anything.
Yeah, so I've been taking testosterone since Dree was born, so almost 7 years. Because I had like super low. I was like in the hundreds, 180, I think, 184 maybe, which is very low. Like, optimal is like 800 to 1100 for guys typically. So I was like really low, brain fog, tired all the time, sluggish. Emotions are a little wishy-washy. So I started figuring that out. That was kind of interesting for me. I was like, and I was scared to death. I'm still scared of taking the needles, right? But I still do it every twice a week. Um, on that front, and then I started learning a lot more about peptides because I have, obviously some partners in that space. Adam and Mark are very knowledgeable, as well as Fraser and different guys we know, and just understanding it. I'm way behind on it compared to these guys, but there's so much benefit. BP 157 in a pill format for my stomach was really beneficial because I have a lot of gut health issues and blah blah blah, all this weird stuff. So like just taking that made my stomach a lot better, and I've been on that for a couple of years now. But a lot of shots and then sore, torn elbows or shoulders or knee issues or whatever. There's a lot of cool technology that exists in these peptides that a lot of people could benefit greatly from. It's not for everybody, but I do think like Retta, that's a GLP it's a three has three hits three receptors. I think it's a bigger technology than AI, truthfully
Really?
changing people's lives. Yeah, man, it's a big deal. A lot of people need to learn about this stuff. I'm not saying go run out and take it. You should start learning about it though, for sure, and understanding, what it can do, the good, the bad, the ugly. The biggest thing with Retta is that I've heard and seen is it messes up with your sex drive because it literally suppresses certain things at a high level. And if you're over, by the way, I'm talking about taking proper dosage, not being silly and reckless and abusing stuff. But it can definitely mess with some receptors that you don't want to mess with potentially, depending what you're into. But at the end of the day, man, there's some really cool stuff out there as we age, Tim, that could really transform and change people's lives.
Where does somebody even learn about that?
Just going online, man, like you start
Yeah, just start
typing
Googling
in
it,
the
just start
best
reading about
peptides.
it.
Well, I mean, with who's in office and everything in RFK, like, dude, they're talking about it more and more. Obviously, the companies don't want you to know about these things because they do solve problems. They don't cause problems as much as they try to talk like they do. So, really understanding the real data, more importantly, where it's coming from. You got to look on both sides of the fences. You got to make sure you're getting pharmaceutical grade, not off market grade, like under, research grade only. There's a lot of heavy metals in this stuff could potentially hurt you long
Hmm.
term. There's a lot of stuff in there, but just going online and finding reputable companies. Ideally, it's doctor prescribed. Ideally, some people are very gray market with this stuff where they're like, oh, it's like you're injecting this stuff in your body. You probably should go the right way.
Yeah,
And I
hell
know
yeah.
people make a lot of money doing. They still do research grade, which is wild to me because it is a little bit cheaper, but like it's your life, it's your body. Like, what are you doing? But I would go online and just start researching and find people that are talking about it openly, sharing full transparency. I mean, there's a lot of big benefits with this stuff, and it's only getting bigger from what we see because it's been suppressed for a long time, man.
Do you feel it's something that can be fixed, or once you're on it, you need it forever?
Oh no, I mean, most of this stuff is not forever. Most of it's done in cycle driven, right? So messing with your mitochondria, like getting your body back on track and all that stuff. So it could be a MOTS-C, it could be, what is it? SS31, I think it's called. There's so many amazing different types of peptides, and I've testosterone, somorelin for women. There's so many different factors on this stuff, depending on what one's trying to accomplish or achieve. Are they scared? Are they not scared? But the most of this stuff's done in cycles. A lot of the stuff is not forever. Typically, testosterone probably would be forever once you start taking it, making sure you understand your dosages and maintaining it. There's natural ways to increase it a little bit here and there. But again, I was talking with a buddy. He's all natural. He's my age. He's 48 now. But, dude, keep in mind, he's been working out his whole life since he was 13. So he eats like a machine. He eats amazingly clean. He works out every day, 7 days a week for his whole life. So his testosterone levels are a little different simply because he's lived the lifestyle to allow it. And I'm not giving anybody an out to not do these things and say you should or shouldn't do them. I'm just saying these are things you got to look deeper into. When someone's like, I'm all natural, you don't need that. That's BS. It's like, yes, it is BS. And ideally, we could do it naturally. The problem is, my lifestyle for the last 25 years isn't the same lifestyle you had for 25 years. So I have a little catch up that I got to do. So you would have to run a cycle or two on different things. But again, this is all under doctor supervised. You got to make sure doctor's supervising this. You got to make sure that you have proper blood work. I do blood work every 90 days on a bunch of different stuff. So we're constantly looking at what's working, what's not, because some people are just wasting supplements as well. Not just peptides and all that stuff. A lot of times stuff they're just taking because they think they should take it. So, no need to be wasteful and all that. But if you're chugging down 20, 30 pills a day, natural even, it's some of that stuff could be just wasted. You could be pissing it out, truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think of how technology is advancing. And by the way, Mark and I are not doctors, right? We're not
Oh.
like the total disclaimer, like talk to a doctor, talk to a healthcare professional before you do any of this stuff. But it's fascinating, right? It's fascinating to see the awareness and what can come out of these blood panels. Dude, I was listening to billionaire. He's like, this guy's not doing anything active, like no more extreme sports, no more like downhill skiing, no more like crazy stuff, because he thinks if he's going to live the next 5 years, he thinks he's going to live until he's 150 years old or 300 years old. He thinks he
Right.
can essentially be immortal because of the advancements in technology. Like, dude, I just read an article. They created nanotech that you shoot it into your bloodstream and it goes and it clears out any sort of blockage in your arteries, right?
Mm.
Like it starts cleaning out your arteries and your veins to remove plaque and buildup and um, allow better blood flow and less likelihood of a stroke or a heart attack. And so it's like, holy smokes, man! Imagine what this looks like in the next 10 years, 5 years, 50 years. Like it's pretty wild to think that our kids could potentially live to hundreds of years old.
Yeah, I think possibly. I think the biggest problem with all this is going to be your bones. The problem is the frame eventually rust in the car. You can keep riding it, but like eventually it's going to deteriorate. Eventually, I don't know if that's 150 years, 500 years. I don't know what that looks like. I do know, me and Dina invested so like we got the full body scans and all this stuff. We invested tens of thousands of dollars to do that. You can do that at Prenova now for like 5 grand. I think is the website, but there's lots of cool things that you can go out and do and test. I think you should be doing full scans. If you're close to the Cleveland, Ohio area, Cleveland Clinic, they offer the free thing for your heart, because heart attack is a big deal, calcium
Mhm.
buildup and all that stuff. If you go down the rabbit hole of health, I mean, you could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I have a buddy that spends over 400 grand a year on this kind of stuff, but he's doing very extensive blood, moving around. He's doing plasma. He's doing a lot of very, very advanced stuff. But you got to be okay with it. You got to understand what you're getting yourself into. You got to understand the pros and cons. And he loves it. I mean, there's people we know, billionaire people we know, Tim, that their husband and wives are doing a lot of this at big scale. And like I said, they're
Mhm.
they're spending $250,000 to $300,000 a year as a couple to live longer, look better, feel better, move better, everything. So there is a lot of benefits, and it does take money to do these things. That's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. No, man, that's awesome. I think this has been really, really insightful. I think it gives a lot of perspective as to, hey, I'm rich now, what, right? Once you make money, now what are you going to be spending your money on? And I think this should be a high priority item for all of us. And we got some really, really cool topics. Like we were talking about all the different topics we're going to be hitting on in future episodes. And this was one that was kind of we weren't planning on talking about it during this episode, but it makes a lot of sense and it's relevant to um, the conference you guys just went to and came back from and got all these insights from. And so I'm glad we hit on it because it should be a higher priority item for everybody. And for some reason, man, it always takes the back burner when we're raising a family, we're taking care of parents, we're building the business, we're scaling the business, getting ready for an exit. Like all these other things end up coming to the front and center, and our health ends up taking something on the backside. And guess what? It doesn't have to. It doesn't just because you're leading with one element of your life at some time doesn't mean you have to neglect your health. Like once you put these things in place and you just change your lifestyle a little bit, it's habit forming, right? And you're doing it on a daily basis.
Well, man, listen, it's these, like you said, it's habits, but this isn't the problem is most people don't change this until it's urgent, but it's
Hmm.
ultra important. You know what I mean? So is it an important or urgent factor right now? Most people aren't, figuring out what to do until it's urgent. So I recommend just start learning about it. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, we were talking about this as one of our topics was really like out of all the stuff we've done to get to now I'm rich, now what? What's been our biggest investment? You know what I mean? What's our best investment? Is it the college if you went to college? Is it the building that you bought? Is it, what are all these things? But at the end of the day, Tim, we know what the best investment is, right? Ourself.
Ourselves.
So we invest in ourselves. If I'm healthier, more clear-minded, I feel better, look better, and I'm dialed in better. Do you think I could be more productive, more profitable, and drive bigger revenue? Of course, as opposed to old slot. That's why I stopped drinking over 4 years ago. It's like I just felt like I was letting the team down. I was not living to my
Hmm.
highest level of calling. I was letting the team down. My kids want to play. Even though I was hungover, I still play, but it wasn't as fun. I wasn't as present. I wasn't as engaged as I could be. They didn't know. I knew. And
Hmm.
so once you start investing in this stuff, in yourself more and more, uh, I don't care if it's, like Tim said, better relationships, better business, better, health, et cetera. Like all this stuff really starts getting better as a collective. We always talk about compounding interest, compounding health too, compounding wealth and health and all these things. They all can compound as a collective, and it's pretty cool to watch, man. It's exciting.
All right, man. I gotta go for a run right now. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, let's go run through a wall.
Yeah.
We got
No,
we
man,
got
this
some
is
peptides for that, Tim. Once you run through a
yeah,
wall, hurt
yeah.
your head, we'll fix you up. Dude,
Yeah.
real quick, I gotta tell you the story actually. Because I know we got to go, but so we're at the Arnold, we're at Terry's gym. We're at Terry's gym.
Yeah.
They're doing a bench press competition. This huge dude, we're talking to him, and they're doing 225 reps. See how many they could do 225. One guy's in there, he did a 70. What did he do? Was it 60 times, maybe 65 times? So it was a lot. Another guy
It's
did
insane.
30, 40, whatever. This other big dude, he's like, I'm gonna go try it. So Mark, my partner Mark, he's talking. So this guy starts doing it, dude, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, dude, it drops on his left shoulder. He tore his pec off of his bone bench pressing, dude. Everyone's like, they have a DJ playing music. Everyone's cheering him on. Go 17, 18. They're like, oh, shut the music down. Boom. Dude, his arms laying there. They had to pull his shirt off. Like, it's bad. So it's black and blue
Holy
immediately. Remember when
cow.
Terry did this with his elbow, when his his bicep detached from him when we were bowling,
Yeah.
remember? Like,
Yeah.
dude, it instantly just peeled up, black and blue. He's standing there like he's in shock, dude. This is like a very healthy-ish 30-something-year-old guy just doing bench pressing. And so you just never know when things are going to happen, But it was wild to see. I've never seen that happen. I've heard it happen. I've saw Terry, whatever. But like to see it, it was an insane thing, man. Like our bodies, you just never know when it's time something's going to happen. So it was pretty wild.
Wild, man.
Yeah.
Wild. And it's not
Well,
like, yeah, if it was the 60th or the 55th, push, you're like, yeah, everything in moderation kind of a thing. But, the dude's healthy. He's probably done that 100
oh,
times or
yeah.
he's thrown up, 20 reps of 225 pounds. And it's like, man, how is that even possible? It's wild.
It is wild, but dude, listen, I think this is a great episode. We appreciate everybody sharing their insights and all that, leaving 5-star reviews, more importantly, sharing the show. It helps us get up in the algorithm. It helps us impact people. Let Tim and I break the conversation with you and your buddy. Is like, yo, I know you're rich, but we've never talked about it. I'm rich too. Now what? Let's talk about
Hmm.
this stuff. And then we carry these conversations on. We'll open the doors for you on the conversations. But if it's minute 2 to 7, send it to your friend. I know, Tim, I've sent you many messages like this, like, yo, Tim, this good show, listen from two
Yeah.
to five or what, whatever. Just share the show, connect with your boys and gals or whoever you're listening and sharing with, but let them know that the show exists. Get it out there, and we're gonna keep producing. We got another show coming out, like Tim said, next week, and we're super excited to share with you guys. Anything else, Tim?
That's it. Appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you next week on I'm Rich Now What?